Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of More Ways to LocalMed. I have my good friend Chris on with us again today. Hi, Chris.
Howdy.
And we are going to be talking about how you can actually leverage online scheduling before your practice doors even open. So we've actually worked with a lot of startup practices implementing online scheduling before the doors open, and they've had great success. And so you might be wondering, how can you really incorporate online scheduling in your practice before your doors even open? We're going to walk through that today. We're going to talk about the benefits, and really it is something that you want to implement. I know practices, or I should say doctors, really wear many hats in their office when it's a startup practice. They're trying to keep costs low. They're handling many different aspects of the practice before the doors open. And the last thing you want to be doing is fielding all these phone calls to get patients to book online. And online scheduling will help relieve that from you. But then also you're going to go into your first day of work in the new practice with potentially a full schedule. And there's nothing greater feeling than that. I would say if I was a dentist, I would have all the confidence in the world and be like, all right, let's do this. So Chris, let's say, I'm going to be opening a new dental practice. It's going to open in about 2 months from now. What do I need to do to get online scheduling set up?
So one of the easiest ways to do is obviously connect with us, and we can go over what we want to do for patients to be scheduling already. So that can, as long as the office currently has a system already set up, whether it's Open Dental, EagleSoft, Dentrix, these can even be temporary like student type versions of these, and we can schedule with those right now. So all we would have to basically do is before your doors are even open, and a great way to think about it is basically having patients waiting for you to open as opposed to the other way around where you open and then you start waiting for the patients. If we're able to set this up before you even open, patients would then have the ability to schedule. And we have the ability on our side to say when and where they can schedule. Whenever you actually do decide to open up your store. So if it's say March 1st, for example, we can make it so patients can schedule today, but on or after that date that we actually want them to be able to come into the physical doors. And so what we can do with that is we can just set up either a column already within your system or one that you have existing, and we can get new patients, whether it's hygiene, emergencies, or any kind of consults that you want to be able to schedule right off the bat. Patients can be coming in. And then as we expand and grow the practice, we'll then be able to add things like returning patients now that you establish that customer base as well. So that's a very great way for us to be able to do that right off the bat. And like I said earlier, that where the patients are actually waiting for you to open as opposed to the other way around.
Yeah, and so with getting the practice management set up for the practice, I know each practice management system is different, but if let's say construction still be done with the practice, but you're sending out marketing, you want to get the online scheduling set up, what are kind of the workarounds with the practice management, making sure that we're able to get those appointments set up and scheduled?
So it's a very flexible way that LocalMed is able to work with all of these systems. So if we decide to open up a column and we only want to schedule on certain days, moving into the future, maybe we want to have like a soft opening where for, let's say, for example, in Open Dental, we only want to schedule 2 days a week to start off. We can do that. If we want to open it up for a whole week, or if we want to do every other, it's very flexible with the way that we're able to schedule with each of these practice management systems, so that you can be comfortable to know that you know for a fact that these days you're going to be open and seeing patient. Those are the only days that patients would then be able to schedule. That way you don't start off on the wrong foot and have patients scheduling on days when you're not actually open. So we can definitely avoid all of that based upon the exact parameters that each doctor gives us for when they want to actually be open.
Yeah, and because LocalMed does read the schedule in real time, if you are making any changes with your schedule, it will read that then as well in regards to if maybe you're closed on a certain day or there's a holiday. So I know those factors kind of play into there. And Chris, I love that we have that feature to where you can actually choose a date that you want patients to schedule after. So despite you are maybe setting up online scheduling a month, 2 months in advance, maybe it's even just like 4 days in advance. You can say, I want them to book 4 days from now. And that's a feature that isn't just unique to startup practices. we have clients that are utilizing that feature just in general for their office. And so that is something that can be done. And Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think a lot of them actually implement that so they have a chance to get in touch with those patients that are booking online. So maybe they want to have a conversation with them or a phone call before they actually book. It kind of gives that little bit of like a buffer period, if you want to say, to get in touch with that patient. Is that correct?
That is, we call it our earliest scheduled date, and we can use that for a number of things, whether you're not even open yet, or maybe someone goes on maternity leave, for example, to where we can give you the ability for patients to still schedule, just not up until you're actually ready to have them physically come into the doors. And like Vanessa, like you mentioned here, with that calendar buffer, if we want, say new patients to not be able to come in for say a 48-hour, 72-hour window, that would give the patient, the practice, especially new practices, enough time to be able to reach out to them, get all their information, but most importantly, welcome them to the practice to where they feel comfortable coming into your brand new practice.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things that is always on the mind for startup practices is how are we going to get the word out about our practice that's opening? Because obviously, if patients aren't hearing about you, they're not booking. And so a lot of practices put together a whole marketing strategy on how they're going to get new patients. And so with online scheduling, you want to make sure you are incorporating that. So any marketing that you're doing to get the word out there, whether it's billboards, commercials, ground marketing, digital marketing, Facebook ads, Google ads, your Google business page, your website. I mean, the list goes on and on. You want to make sure you're implementing LocalMed with that. And there is tracking with all that as well too. So you know where your money being spent, of what the ROI is, and what that's turning, what's working for you or not. Because there might be a bit more trial and error when it's a new practice, trying to figure out what marketing works for your area in particular. So that is something too. You want to make sure that you're incorporating LocalMed into all of your marketing. And that way it's really helping to close the loop on the marketing efforts that you're doing at the practice. And it's a win because it's less phone calls that you're having to field. A lot of times the doctor's fielding them before the practice opens. So you don't have all those phone calls to your cell phone and you get them booked on the schedule there. Chris, do you have any other tips or tricks or anything else you want to include in there that you think would pertain particularly to our startup practices that maybe we didn't cover?
Just to kind of to piggyback off what you're saying, having to wear a lot of hats, especially at the very beginning when it might just be you or possibly one other person, helping around the brand new practice. We can also be there with you as well, like she mentioned, with so many different things that we can, where patients can be able to schedule. We can make sure to be there with you alongside and give you widgets and links and advice for everything that you guys need. It's just one click, one question away to be able to ask us anything, advice, things like that might help you, obviously start and then of course grow your practice in the future.
Yeah. And leverage it. Leverage online scheduling of what makes you stand out and different to your competitors in your area. Patients are looking for that convenience. So offer the convenience and use that for your startup practice. Well, thanks, Chris. Thank you for joining us in another episode. And we will see you all again on the next episode of More Ways to LocalMed.